Hey dreamers, I've seen articles lately about Altria and AT&T that are frankly panic-inducing. So I'll give you my quick point of view on that today. One thing I'll note is I'm trying to avoid hardcore analysis videos because, well, you can get that anywhere, and I don't want to become a source for that. But rather, my goal is to calm your nerves so that you can make rational, not emotional, investing decisions. There's lots of research that shows when you can do this, you will succeed in the stock market. I also want you to do your own research and not rely on people like me to tell you the answer. I'm not a financial licensed advisor anyway, so you definitely shouldn't follow what I say. But my hope is that by showing you my portfolio over time and following along my journey of what I'm doing with bigger numbers, that it allows you to learn my hits and misses for free. And then you can decide for yourself what moves you want to make. You see, this channel has been about you this whole time, not me. So with that said, what are these headlines about Altria and AT&T that are so upsetting? Now, as you know, my number one position is actually Altria, ticker symbol MO. I've got just over $140,000 worth, generating over $12,000 in annual income. Also in my top 5 is AT&T, with just over $107,000, generating $5,700 worth of annual income. So needless to say, I have a vested interest to stay on top of any news or headlines or quarterly results from these companies, with over $250,000 invested. So articles like this catch my attention. Like, Altria is a melting ice cube, says Barclays, who downgraded it. And one of the reasons why they downgraded it is because of this. Straight from the FDA, it's a notice that they deny authorization to market Juul products. Now, Altria has a stake in the company, I believe it's 35%, but it's actually been a poor business deal that hasn't been performing well for Altria anyway. Needless to say, Barclays argues that this plus a declining tobacco market means that Altria could be entering a decline similar to newspapers and cable companies. Ouch. The next headlines that hit this week were caused by AT&T's second quarter results that basically point out a few things. One was that the business wireline, EBITDA, is now expected to fall, and that they lost 25,000 broadband subscribers in Q2. Another thing that was pointed out was that consumers are starting to have late payments, which is not surprising given the pressure that consumers are under right now with inflation. But the biggest thing was AT&T revising their free cash flow number down from $16 billion to $14 billion. So given my heavy investments in Altria and AT&T, these headlines could be enough to make any investor want to crawl back in bed and get under the covers, and potentially sell immediately. And actually, we can see that a lot of investors did just that, as the volume in trades picked up right after the news of the Q2 results for AT&T, making the stock price go down from around $20 a share down to about $18.25. So my view on AT&T goes a little something like this. Investors oftentimes have difficulty making sense of a quarter-over-quarter change after a massive enterprise change. The reality is AT&T just ripped away Warner Media, and so in the balance sheet you see all kinds of jostling going on. You have revenue down, but you also have expenses down because of that divestiture. The reality is, AT&T is likely to have some headwinds in the short term from my perspective. They've got interest expense, inflation, and debt payments that they're really trying to get under control. So the stock price might actually go down another $2 or $3. And if it does, to $16 or $15, I think investors who've been wanting to buy AT&T near the bottom might get their chance. The reality with AT&T is that it's a barely growing but profitable long-term play. It's very bond-like, but I like what I see in terms of them paying down the debt, and I think they're heading in the right direction. For me, this is a predictable business that I'll be relying on for a while, simply based on the dividend. But I don't expect the stock price to rise a ton. Now going on to Altria. This article represents a lot of what I think around Altria and, oh, by the way, BTI. It makes me smile with this Altria and British American are two high-yield dividend aristocrat dream buys, because I'm pretty sure they're talking directly to me. In this article, it talks about how Altria is the slightly higher quality company measured by dividend growth streak and profitability, although BTI has a stronger credit rating. And that over the next 3 to 5 years, analysts expect both high-yield defensive aristocrats to deliver around 100% to 160% total return, but that BTI's 16.9% return potential is above Altria's 13 to 14%, which is one reason why you've seen me recently build up my BTI position pretty substantially. So that's why recently, when the stock price went low for Altria and got to around $41 a share, even though I have a large position that I'm not really adding to right now, I couldn't help myself and added a few $1,000s worth. So why am I telling you all of this? Because it's important as a serious investor who plans on depending on dividend income to know why you're buying a business, be prepared for their announcements, and even predict them so you're not surprised and emotionally react. Kind of like how I show you in my video about my recent predictions and some future ones. Because then market reactions from uninformed investors who don't have a long-term plan or vision don't spook you. And potentially, you can even take advantage of that. Listen, I think AT&T has not been a great investment for at least 5 years or more. And at one time, Altria was way overpriced. But I've bought these two more recently, and I plan on holding them for a while at these current rates. Alright guys, thanks for spending time with me today. As always, I encourage you to do your own research, then implement and learn by putting it into practice. And as a reminder, I'm not a financial advisor, so keep in mind these videos are for entertainment and inspiration only. I'll see you on the flip side.